Let me try to work this out. I don't understand why there is no sound. Is my mic? My mic is all the way up. Guys, give me a minute. Somebody's saying on the live that there is no sound, and I really want to fix this issue. I don't want to have... Okay. All right, guys. Can you hear me now? Can you guys hear me now? Because I am... Please let me know if there is any sound. Oh, somebody says it's good now. Okay, thank you. Sometimes it's just a simple issue. All right, somebody says we can hear you now. You are on. Okay, great. Thank you, guys. So, as I was saying, today is the day after the St. Lucia Jazz and Arts Festival's ultimate celebration, and I was really hoping to come here today and dissect the festival. Oh, all right. Somebody's saying there's sound now on the WhatsApp. Thank you, guys. You guys are so amazing, by the way. Have I told you that lately? Have I told you lately that I love you, my audience? You guys are so amazing. All right. So let's continue. I was expecting to come up here today and speak to you guys about the St. Lucia Jazz and Arts Festival, the celebration, the ultimate celebration, and some of the other things that I saw, some of the feedback that I got from vendors at the place, and so on and so forth. But unfortunately, the festival and all that it entailed has been overshadowed. And it has been overshadowed by a dark cloud. That dark cloud is called crime. I have with me a report, multiple reports from the St. Lucia Fire Service. They are the first responders. They are the ones who get called when things go wrong. They are the ones who are on the ground picking up the pieces. And I also want to share with you an experience that I had. They say experience is the best teacher. But I want to share an experience with you. And I hope you guys would permit me, because this is not something that I can keep to myself. Sometimes you hear people say things to you. They tell you that this is happening, and you have not gone through it. So you ignore it, or maybe you don't understand. But when you have the first-hand experience, that is when you realize, oh my God. So guys, we're going to start talking about the crime situation. And by the way, guys, don't forget that today is Monday. And if it's Monday, that means full disclosure is on right after Hardtalk. So Foster Chico, he is geared up, roaring and ready to go, and you don't want to miss this episode. Trust me, because we are going to be taking a deep dive into a lot of matters. But first, let me share with you this report from the St. Lucia Fire Service on the incidents that occurred over this Mother's Day weekend. Oh my God, somebody else is saying that there is no sound. I don't sound. Okay, person says they can hear me now. I think there's something wrong with this connection right here, guys. I think it's the way this is positioned. Sometimes you shift things around and you don't realize. I hope you guys can hear the sound now. So let me share this with you. St. Lucia Fire Service. Take a listen.
2026, officers of the St. Lucia Fire Service responded to a motor vehicular collision at approximately 9:37 p.m. involving two vehicles at Bexon Castries. On arrival at the scene, 4 individuals were found to have been involved in the incident. Officers were directed to a driver of one of the vehicles.
Oh, I seem to be having a problem with sound today.
Who was trapped inside. He was extricated and transferred into the ambulance. An assessment revealed that he had sustained an open fracture to the right upper extremity. Another individual sustained a possible dislocation to the elbow. They were both treated, then transported to a medical facility for advanced medical care. The remaining individuals indicated that they had not sustained any injuries and declined further medical assistance. The scene was handed over to officers of the Royal St. Lucia Police Force.
All right, so that's one incident, an accident in Bexor.
On Sunday, 10th May 2026, officers of the St. Lucia Fire Service responded at approximately 1:06 p.m. to an alleged gunshot wound incident at Marshall Castries. On arrival at the scene, an adult male was found lying on the ground in a left lateral position. An assessment revealed that he was unresponsive with negative vitals. Multiple penetrating wounds were observed about the body. Life-saving interventions were performed and he was transported to a medical facility for advanced medical care.
Okay, I'm gonna have to, hold on, guys. I don't know what's going on. I seem to be very hold on, guys. Let's do this. Let's try this again.
On Sunday, 10th May 2026, officers of the St. Lucia Fire. On Sunday, 10th May 2026.
Guys, every time I shift it, something goes wrong. Let's see this time.
May 2026, officers of the St. Lucia Fire Service responded at approximately 1:06 p.m. to an alleged gunshot wound incident at Marshall Castries. On arrival at the scene, an adult male was found lying on the ground in a left lateral position. An assessment revealed that he was unresponsive with negative vitals. Multiple penetrating wounds were observed about the body. Life-saving interventions were performed and he was transported to a medical facility for advanced medical care. On Saturday, 9th May 2026, officers of the St. Lucia Fire Service responded at approximately 11:24 p.m. to an alleged gunshot wound incident at Marshall Castries. On arrival at the scene, an adult female was found in a supine position on the ground, unresponsive with negative vitals. An assessment revealed multiple penetrating wounds about the body with obvious signs of death. The scene was handed over to officers of the Royal St. Lucia Police Force.
So far, 2 gunshot wound incidents, but there are more incidents that took place, and we're going to go through them.
On Saturday, 9th May 2026, officers of the St. Lucia Fire Service responded at 8:52 p.m. to a trauma incident involving an alleged chopping between siblings at Bexon Castries. On arrival at the scene, 2 adult males were found near the roadside. An assessment for both individuals revealed lacerations to the upper and lower extremities. They were both treated, then transported to a medical facility for advanced medical care. On Saturday, 9th May 2026, officers of the St. Lucia Fire Service responded at approximately 10:57 p.m. to an alleged gunshot wound incident at Marshall Castries. On arrival at the scene, an adult male was found in a supine position on the ground. An assessment revealed multiple penetrating wounds to his lower extremities, hands, and face. Life-saving interventions were performed and he was transported to a medical facility for advanced medical care. On Saturday, 9th May 2026, officers of the St. Lucia Fire Service responded at 11:15 p.m. to a motor vehicular incident involving a vehicle driving over a pedestrian at Labrie. On arrival at the scene, an adult male was found in a prone position on the ground. It was reported by bystanders that he was sleeping on the ground when a driver accidentally drove over him. An assessment revealed swelling to his back. He was treated, then transported to a medical facility for advanced medical care. On Sunday, 10th May 2026, officers of the St. Lucia Fire Service responded at approximately 2:21 p.m. to a motor vehicular collision involving 4 vehicles at cul-de-sac Castries. On arrival at the scene, all occupants of the vehicles were found standing along the roadside. They were assessed with reported complaints of pain about the body. All individuals refused further medical care. The scene was subsequently handed over to officers of the Royal St. Lucia Police Force.
So guys, as you can hear, we had not one, not two, but several incidents of a violent crime. By the way, guys, before we jump into the meat of the matter, I do need to say something, and please forgive me for forgetting. I want to wish a happy belated Mother's Day to all of the individuals, the mothers in the house, the stepmothers, the godmothers, all of you who have contributed to the betterment of a child. Good afternoon to you guys and welcome. Those of you joining us on the Fire 107.7 FM, it's Fire FM 107 link. Good afternoon to you guys. Thank you for joining the broadcast. Those of you on the 107.7 FM frequency on your radio, good afternoon to you. Welcome. And of course, not forgetting those of you who are jumping in on the social media platforms. So those of you on the Facebook platform, good afternoon to you. Wherever you're hailing from, I have seen people jumping in from the States, from Canada, from the UK, some of them even from the Caribbean. Somebody's on here from St. Croix. Good afternoon to you guys. Thank you. And those of you wishing me a happy Mother's Day, thank you so much. I was so proud. Let me tell you, this year, Mother's Day held a special significance for me. Normally it isn't, because I lost my grandmother, my maternal grandmother, a very, how do I explain this lady? The only word I think that can describe my maternal grandmother was powerhouse. Oh, somebody's saying they're on here from Connecticut. Good afternoon to you. Welcome to the broadcast. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Somebody's saying sending love from the Sunshine State. I'm not sure if that's California or Florida. You're going to have to explain to me because I'm not sure. But if you're in the Sunshine State, good afternoon to you as well. Enjoy the sunshine. But my little girl, guys, is growing up. Yes, she was a promo girl for St. Lucia Jazz. And if I look tired, it's because I was driving her all over the place. And it was so amazing because usually Mother's Day is about reminiscing, missing my grandmother and everything she meant to me. But this time I had a cause to celebrate because I was so proud watching my daughter, just make St. Lucia Jazz look good, But it really was great. So Mother's Day was very great for me this year. At least I have a happy memory, a proud memory to to think of when I think of Mother's Day. Also, guys, I noticed, and today is the first day that I'm wearing it. By the way, uh, I'm testing out this. Oh, somebody's telling me it's Florida. Okay, well, Florida in the house. I'm testing out this is a prototype of the Fire FM uniform. Of course, we need to get out there and do some advertising. So I don't know if so many people are saying, before I even spoke about it, let me just make sure you guys can see. It's not huge, but I wanted something classy. So this is for those of you on the Facebook platform, and for those of you who are going to watch this again on the WhatsApp platform. This is our new Fire FM uniforms with the logo and the thing, and of course the the slogan is the voice of the people. So that's why I love it when you guys jump on and talk about all of the issues affecting you. And for those of you who noticed, thank you so much. I wanted something that will stand out after all of the dark colors here in the studio. And judging by your guys' reaction, I think I made the right choice. Simple is always better. Thank you so much, guys, for noticing. So this is our new Fire FM uniforms. Don't worry, I'll have Foster in one soon enough. Not this week, but it coming. Anyway, guys, so as much as we had the Jazz Festival, and those of you who came out, those of you, whether you had media accreditation, whether you had a complimentary ticket, whether you bought your tickets online or wherever, but those of you who took in some of the Jazz Festival, I hope you guys had a wonderful, wonderful time. And as much as I want to talk about the Jazz Festival and the music and the performances and so on and so forth, as I said, and by the clips that I played you, the St. Lucia Fire Service had to deal with so many violent incidents over the weekend. So many violent incidents. And these incidents, though they are supposed to be, well, I can't excuse violence in any way. Somebody's listening from the Gulf of America. I thought it was the Gulf of Mexico. That's okay. Leave that alone. Don't answer that question. There is nothing to excuse violence, guys. Don't get me wrong. But I don't expect anybody to be perfect. I don't expect anyone to not lose their cool or get frustrated or make a mistake or have a lapse in judgment. I'm not asking anyone to be perfect or to be Jesus Christ, because guess what? Even Jesus Christ got mad. Remember that incident in the temple when he overturned the tables? Yes, he was mad that day. So if you're only human, then of course you will lose your patience. Of course you will get frustrated. Of course you will act out of character. Of course you will get pushed too far. But guys, the level of violence, assault, gun incidents, and now choppings and stabbings and fights. Guys, come on. These things are taking over our country. These things are becoming the norm as opposed to the exception. And that cannot be a good thing. That cannot be a good thing. Castries East, Masha to be exact. 3 killings over the weekend. Bexel, chopping incident among brothers. Really? You guys share the same DNA. Somebody's telling me here that the solution is simple. Have I forgotten the Prime Minister knows who's causing the crimes? Just bring him, he will fix it easy. Listener, I pray that it is that simple. Because the Prime Minister told us he knew who was causing the crime back in 2021 in his first term. You recall that? Today is May 11th, 2026. The Prime Minister still cannot tell us what he knows. So I am assuming that the Prime Minister doesn't know anything. And he simply wanted to pretend. Speculation. Without information, speculation is rife. If he truly knew who was causing the crime, guys, he would have said. He would have said. Since the Prime Minister stood up in the Parliament and said, I know who's causing the crime, and I have a clip of him saying that. We have had record-breaking years consistently. Every year more killings than the last. So much so that persons who wish to sugarcoat or downplay the incidents of violence on the island, they are keeping the numbers secret or are releasing numbers that just do not add up. They're playing with the numbers simply because, in my view, and I may be wrong, but in my view, because this is how I feel, they are embarrassed at the state of the country. That's what I believe, because that's how I feel. And I think they feel the same way that I feel. So, today is, guys, I'm going to take a little segue to wish a happy birthday to Mr. Ken Edwin, one of my top listeners here on Fire FM. So, guys, please wish Mr. Ken Edwin a happy birthday. Happy birthday to you, Mr. Edwin. Somebody's saying, put a stop to it again. He's incompetent. Well, I guess they're talking about the Prime Minister. But guys, listen. I personally do not believe that Prime Minister Philip J. Pierre is interested in taking a hard stance on crime. Maybe I am being too hard on the Prime Minister. Maybe I'm judging him too harshly. But if you were in my shoes, tell me that you wouldn't feel the same. The Prime Minister keeps saying, paying lip service, saying that he has a zero tolerance for crime. He keeps saying that he will do all in his power to curtail crime. Yet, what has he done? In my view, the Prime Minister has acted insanely. You might ask me, why would you say that? And I will tell you why I say that. Because the Prime Minister keeps doing the same things over and over and expecting a different result. And when you look back at the statistics, because guys, numbers do not lie. The people who are inputting the numbers, we're not so sure about them. But the numbers do not lie. I want you to take a walk back in time with me. Do you recall Operation Restore Confidence? Do you recall how the crime rate, especially the homicide rate, began to soar around that time? That those years leading up to Operation Restore Confidence. Do you recall what was happening in St. Lucia? Do you recall that every single day you listen to the news? Oh, somebody was calling. We missed a call. Caller, give me a minute. I'm going to open the phone lines and allow you to make your contribution. One moment, please. Do you recall, guys, that during the second term, Kenny Anthony's second term, it was the consecutive, he won in 97, 16 won, and then he won the general elections directly after. Do you recall that the crime rate began to soar? It started creeping up. It wasn't as bad as it is now, because back then the criminals were not as emboldened as they are now. But the crime rate, if you guys recall, started creeping up, consistently creeping up. What did Kenny Anthony do? He built the Borderley Correctional Facility. He renovated, he said, several police stations. And he gave the police, he took more recruits, and he gave the police vehicles. Do you guys recall that? What happened? I'll tell you what happened. The same thing that's happening now happened. Nothing. Nothing. The criminals continued on their merry way until we found ourselves during the 2026 during the 2026 term, when Sir John returned. That was 2026, right? Sorry, not 2026. 2006. Sorry, I'm getting my numbers mixed up. When Sir John returned, we found ourselves in dire straits. And then we ended up at this Operation Restore Confidence crossroads. And guys, whether you want to believe it or not, do you know that the police force in St. Lucia and diplomatic relations in St. Lucia are still suffering today because of the decisions taken during Operation Restore Confidence? I remember, I don't know if you guys remember, but I remember this feeling of vulnerability permeating our society. That feeling of fear. People not wanting to leave their homes, to go out at night, to go to certain recreational events or places because they were afraid to be caught in the crossfire, much like it is now. I don't know if you guys remember when you turned on the news, almost daily you heard reports of gun violence, killings, almost daily. I don't know if you guys remember, but I do. And then, when it reached a boiling point, the Royal St. Lucia Police Force, in my view, decided enough was enough. And they decided to take back the streets. And that is how we ended up with Operation Restore Confidence. Right now, sorry to say, embarrassed to say, but guys, we are in an even worse predicament. Let me tell you why. The criminals have become emboldened. Why are they emboldened? Because of the backlash. And rumor has it, I have to say rumor has it because these are unconfirmed reports. This is speculation on my part based on certain utterances that occurred back then after Stephenson King lost the general elections. But speculation was rife that the impacts report that came out of Operation Restore Confidence was incited by certain politicians who were seeking short-term political expediency. Now, guys, don't get me wrong. I do not condone any sort of unlawful behavior, whether it is by private citizens or by law enforcement. But in good conscience, guys, I have to be honest. In good conscience, having lived through that era and having lived and being alive now, I cannot in good conscience condemn the Royal St. Lucia Police Force for taking action during Operation Restore Confidence. I cannot in good conscience, knowing what the situation was like on the ground, I cannot in good conscience condemn the Royal St. Lucia Police Force for feeling as if they had to employ drastic measures to curtail the crime in the country at that time. I do not condone any unlawful behavior or actions by law enforcement or by private citizens. And if any members of the Royal St. Lucia Police Force acted unlawfully during Operation Restore Confidence, I support them being brought to justice. But look at where this impacts report has gotten us. Our police force has lost their morale. Our police force has lost their gumption. They've lost their motivation. The fire in their bellies has gone out. Why do I say that? Because I believe that the fallout of the impacts report killed the morale of our Royal St. Lucia Police Force. It made the police feel that they were being persecuted. Because, guys, if you remember, if you recall, so many things came out. The public turned against the police. When that impacts report was released, and Dr. Kenny Anthony, as an officer of the court, he knew what he was doing. He knew that reading that report to the nation would have essentially condemned the Royal St. Lucia Police Force and unequivocally taint any litigation that could have come from the release of the impacts report. He knew what he was doing. Dr. Kenny Anthony is not me. He's not you. He is, in my view, I'm hoping, a very astute gentleman. But he did it for short-term political expediency. And that short-term political expediency had long-term consequences for both victims, perpetrators, and members of the Royal St. Lucia Police Force. Long-term, far-reaching consequences of which the effects are still being felt 16 years later. Because remember, Operation Restore Confidence was in 2010. We are in 2026. It is 16 years. And this has not been resolved. And what is the fallout again? Criminals who are emboldened, police officers who are extra careful, afraid of their own shadow, and a country inundated with violent crime and criminal activity, with individuals, citizens, law-abiding citizens, and visitors alike afraid of their own shadow. That is the situation we have found ourselves in. And we have the same thing being repeated in this Philip J. Pierre administration. Philip J. Pierre is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result And when he doesn't get the result that he wants, what does he do? Throw the officers of the Royal St. Lucia Police Force under the bus. Why do I say that? Okay. Do you recall last year or year before? I think last year. There was a time when Philip J. was out of state. Ernest Hilaire was the acting prime minister, and there was a uptick, a spate of violent crimes, gun killings throughout the country. Do you recall Jeremiah Norbert and Ernest Hilaire holding a press conference, or was it a pre-cabinet press briefing? But either way, they addressed the nation as the minister, one the Minister for Home Affairs and the second one in his capacity as Deputy Prime Minister. Do you recall what these gentlemen said? They said, and I quote, "The police have gotten all of the equipment that they needed, and so it is up to them to get the job done." They said that they'd given them jet skis, vehicles, more recruits, the same Kenny Anthony playbook. The same Kenny Anthony playbook. What has been the result of these forays into insanity? That's how I deem it, because the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again without and expecting a different result. I'll tell you what it is. High crime, low police morale, and general unrest in the country, resulting in a populace that is afraid, vulnerable, and just helpless. And what's worse, St. Lucia, back during Operation Restore Confidence, in that time, the time before Operation Restore Confidence, the people of St. Lucia demanded justice from the police. They demanded action from the government. They demanded action. But now in 2026, the people of St. Lucia have become complacent. They're used to it. They are used to it. To them, it has become the norm as opposed to the exception. And today, people are not even demanding action from the police anymore. The populace have thrown up their hands together with the police, together with law enforcement. If you don't think that this is a sorry, sad state of affairs, St. Lucia, you're not looking at this properly. And you have a prime minister who says to you that he and his ministers, when things go wrong in the country, they are not the ones who are affected. They're not the ones hurt. It's the country. Remember, he said that. Remember, he continues to say that. When you say these things and you talk about these things and you spread these things, you're not hurting me. You're not hurting Philip J. Pierre. You're not hurting the ministers. You're only hurting the country. The country. His words, not mine. Who is the country? Definitely not the land. Definitely not the sea. Not the sticks, not the stones, not the trees, not the bush. Not even the cows I saw over the weekend starving in Kokodan. The country is me. The country is you. The country is the people. And it's not just fear. It is not just fear that is the result of these situations. I told you guys that I wanted to show you or share with you an experience that I had. When individuals are shot, stabbed, run over by vehicles, these individuals call the ambulance comes, patches them up. As you heard in every clip the fire service sent, they were transferred to a medical facility for further medical care. I had cause to take someone to the emergency room after a minor accident over the weekend. And what I saw at the OKEU, the Owen King European Union Hospital, was, oh my God, guys, I cannot adequately describe this. I think the closest I can come is appalling. St. Lucia, you guys are not going to believe me, but this is what I saw. When I arrived at the accident and emergency at the Owen King European Hospital, I drove up to the bay, the ambulance bay. I asked the individual to go in, and then I would come in after. When I came to the door, the first thing I noticed, do you know those plastic urinals that they give to the men? Not the silver ones, but the plastic ones with the little handle. It looks like a bottle or a jug with a curved head. Guys, would you believe, and this is a true story, this is the God's honest truth. When I came up to the door of the accident and emergency, the very first thing I noticed was one of those plastic urinals full of pee right in the doorway as if it was a welcome mat. I swear to you, I am not exaggerating in any way. I am describing accurately what I saw. Right there, in front of the doorway of the accident and emergency, this plastic urinal full of pee, like a welcome mat. And I was taken aback. I'm like, wow, okay, what's that about? I pushed open the door, and as if that was not bad enough, I noticed a male individual lying on the floor, on the cold tiles, wrapped up in one of those yellow hospital gowns that the ambulance gives you. Guys, I'm going to be honest with you. I closed the door, I turned around and I walked away, and I said to myself, you went the wrong place. That's not where you should have gone. So I walked back towards the road, and I looked again. And I said, no, maybe they've changed it around and that's the wrong door. But when I looked around, the only other door that I saw was the ambulance bay door. So I said to myself, it cannot be there. It has to be where you went initially. So I went back. There it was again, that plastic urinal right in front of the doorway. Push open the door, and this gentleman or this male individual is still lying there, wrapped up in this flimsy yellow hospital gown, lying on the floor of the accident and emergency. I came in and I saw some other individuals seated there waiting for attention. I could not believe that this was the same OKEU that I had been to just maybe 2 years ago. I am so sorry to say this, but that reception area, filthy. Filthy. And I could not believe my eyes. Hearing people call the show, call other talk shows, and talk about how far OKEU has fallen. It took me going up there to see for myself to really understand what is going on in St. Lucia. Guys, this is not an exaggeration. My heart is broken. I don't know what the problem is. I don't know what has caused the hospital, our only operational secondary healthcare facility, to fall to this state. But guys, OKEU needs help. The hospital needs counseling. The hospital needs psychosocial support. St. Lucia, this is a cry for help, and I am screaming because what I saw at the hospital, we cannot allow this to continue. I don't know if the management needs to change. I don't know if they need more doctors. I don't know if they need more nurses. Guys, do you know, after waiting there for a little while, I saw a doctor come outside, and the doctor said, "What is this man doing on the floor?" The doctor went up to the gentleman and said, "Hey, hello, what are you doing on the floor? Why are you on the floor?" And started questioning the man. I didn't mean to eavesdrop on the situation and to violate any privacy. But as a bystander, you're standing there, you hear the conversation. The doctor finally ascertained that this individual had been dropped off at the hospital by an ambulance after being engaged in some roughhousing or whatever, and was suffering from injuries. The doctor then got a wheelchair and put this individual in the wheelchair and took him in to triage. Now, you know what triage is? Triage is what happens when you first enter the hospital and you go and see the nurse. They check your vitals, they check everything, your blood pressure, so and so, and then they ask you what's wrong, and then if they cannot fix your problem right there, then they send you in to the doctors. Guys, I could not believe my eyes and my ears. I could not believe how far the hospital had fallen since I was there last. And I want to make an appeal. The doctors, the management team of OKEU that existed under Dr. Dexter James, please, 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 come back. I am begging you, not just for myself as a citizen of St. Lucia, but for every citizen of St. Lucia, please come back. Please forget about whatever it is that made you walk out in the first place, because we need you. We need you. The doctors and nurses who left the hospital, and I know you made decisions that would help your family and put you in a better financial standing, but please, I beg you, I implore you, please come back. Please. Forget about whatever it is that caused you to walk out in the first place. Bury the hatchet, forgive us, forget, and please come back. Guys, we do not have health care in St. Lucia. I am so sorry to say this. I am so sorry to say this. But we do not have health care in St. Lucia. We do not have, normally we would say we don't have adequate health care, but guys, we do not have health care. The doctors and nurses at OKEU, and there was a particular doctor that was acting, but that's for another show. That is for another show. I'm not going to talk about that here. You want to know what the worst thing is? Somebody said to the person who came and started cleaning up the accident and emergency area, the person said to that individual, "Ma'am, there is a urinal with pee right in the entrance to the hospital." You know, alerting her. And you know what the lady responded? I swear to God, me? I'm not touching that. Guys, I swear to the Almighty, everything I have said here is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. But we need help in St. Lucia. We need the management team, because under these individuals, that team of doctors and nurses, OKEU ran like clockwork. But today, the hospital is not even crawling, much less running. I'm going to take a quick commercial break, and then I'm going to open up the phone lines, and we're going to discuss this even further. We'll be right back.
You already know the power of Lex products on your clothes and household.
You licked your whites and colored clothes, leaving them fresh and scented. You licked your dishes and left your hands protected with vitamin E. You licked your floors, even licked your toilet. Now we expand and bring you 3 new scents in our fabric softener. Balmy Sunshine, Summer Sunshine, and Thousand Flowers. And Lick's Voice Beats with Curves with Lick's Curves and Peach. Lick's Voice even further with Care Body Soap Bars, antioxidant and antibacterial. So Lick's tiredness and bacteria out and refresh your tired body. Your products giving you licks? Then choose Licks from Today Distribution Inc. Available at all leading supermarkets.
All right, we have a call on the line. Good afternoon to you, caller. You are on the air.
Good afternoon, Angie. Angie, I am listening to you there, and it's so sad for my country to go down in a rabbit hole
Caller,
like that.
caller, it's deeper than a rabbit hole, you know, caller. It is way deeper than a rabbit hole.
We have 3 major problems in St. Lucia.
Mm-hmm.
And St. Lucia, they don't want to, hey, that's their problem. We have water problem,
Mm-hmm.
we have healthcare problem, and we have crime problem in St. Lucia.
Mm-hmm. You hitting the nail on the head, caller.
Okay. If 2 persons get shot in Marshall
3.
Saturday night,
Oh.
3 persons and police come to attend those people 2 o'clock in the morning from 10 o'clock, there is a big problem. There is a big problem. I live in the state, I live in Brooklyn. And St. Lucia have more crime than Brooklyn. I'm not afraid to say it. When the police say, "Pow!" it can be a friendly shooting. Police, they are ready because they have the sensor to tell them where the gunshot fire. Okay? You cannot hear a gunshot in Brooklyn and police will take 4 hours to reach there. As the gun goes, boom, police there already. When you have a police force with 1,500 police officers to control a country that's full of mountains and hills and those things, we have a problem. Our road is not like Barbados. Okay, we're not like Barbados flat, no. And there is a police station right in Nashua. What those police was doing?
I don't know, caller. I don't know.
You know, it's so sad and for us to have the crime, the water problem, okay, the healthcare problem. Angie, I love my country, Angie. I don't want to retire in America, but I have no choice to make.
Yeah.
I have no choice to make with myself because I'm not getting old.
That's right.
I'm sorry, I'm not getting young.
You're not getting any younger, yeah.
Okay? Angie, my health is not 100% when I was young. Okay? All that you get is sicker you're getting.
That's true.
If I leave America to come to St. Lucia, just for me to come and die? Okay, when you hit 60, 70 years in America, plan for a funeral already, if you're not healthy. When my mother gets sick, when I watch my mother, and I said to my sister, no, send my mother up for me. Just up back, don't give my mother no suitcase. As my mother reached here, my other sister will bring my mother to Kings County and they tell us my mother have cancer.
Wow, so sad. So sorry about that.
And that lady in St. Lucia go to the doctor, all they give my mother painkiller. Or his pain is bomb. You know, all the time my mother have cancer. Okay, it take America to detect cancer in my mother. never have a visa. My mother will never live to see 80. She died 82. My mother, after they take the cancer, my mother lived to see another 8 months or 7 months because they was giving my mother thing too, you know. As my mother go back to St. Lucia, they return back to oxygen tank. They give my mother 2 empty oxygen tank.
Hey.
2 empty oxygen tank. They give my mother.
And she was supposed to, and she was responsible for filling it?
Yes, we buy it. We buy the tank and they give us 2 empty tanks.
Wow. So it was supposed to be filled?
Okay. Yes.
Wow.
Because we buy it for $1,500 to fill already. Yes.
Wow.
Okay. When I see all that, Angie, I have 3 kids in America. I have a home with my family. I have almost living. I have all my family in St. Lucia. I don't want to turn my back on my family.
Yeah.
But I have a choice. My health. Okay, my health. Okay. I remember, Angie, in the 80s, in the 90s, I will keep on saying it again. The universe blessed Compton with the
vision.
The hand.
Vision. You know? That man had vision, caller. He had vision.
Okay. You will go to the health center in Castries there. You will get your teeth clean if you want to. Free.
Yeah.
You will get your, everything else,
You could have seen the doctor. Do you recall that there were 2 doctors' clinics at the Castries Health Center daily, one in the morning and one in the afternoon?
Afternoon, yes.
People didn't even need to go to Victoria Hospital because the Castries Health Center was there, it was operational, and it was very efficient.
Efficient, yes. You know. And when you hit, they were supposed to get in one health center in La Flamingo. There is a health center in Roseau Valley, serving Roseau Self. Okay, you go there, you get a cut, they stitch you, they give you butterfly stitches right in those little area where the distillery is right now, around there. And they put it up Jack Mills. Okay, when you leave Jack Mills, you get in one in Millet.
Yep.
When you leave Millet, you get in one in Amslare. Only one place they never put a health center is Sarah alone. They never put a health center there.
Well,
okay,
speaking as somebody who lives in that area, Sarat is between 2 health centers, one in Bexar and one in Vanna. So you really don't need a health center there as well. But you are making a very important point, caller, because every area that had a school, there was a health center right next to the school. If you look at how all of these things are, the reason why the health center left Roseau and went to Jackmel is because that's where the school went, if you would recall.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah.
And there was a nurse in the health center 24 hours every day.
Speaking of that health center, caller, are you aware that just this year, a child died? The child had a seizure. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. But this child had a seizure. And the teachers rushed the child to the health center thinking, that she would get the appropriate medical care. But unfortunately, there was no nurse available, and the ambulance took too long to arrive, and we lost that young child.
I look at myself when I go to an ambulance up here. The ambulance have everything to stabilize. I don't know how St. Lucia ambulance is. I cannot say anything about St. Lucia ambulance. I don't know how it is. If it's a bed and they were carrying to the hospital and strapping and carrying to the hospital, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. Okay? Now, when I look at the other day, my uncle was hurting me. I said, you know what, I'm going to the doctor. As I reached to the clinic, the doctor told me to go to the hospital and take an X-ray. Just walk in and get an X-ray. You know, St. Lucia don't tell me to walk in and get an X-ray? No. They'll never tell you to walk in and go and get an X-ray. Before in Victoria Hospital, if you go to your emergency room and you have one, they'll bring you right out to get an X-ray. Okay, in the 90s. Okay? I don't know now if that is still going on in St. Lucia because well, 26 years.
Well, to be honest, there is radiology services available at OKEU. Oh, but that's another thing, guys. So I told you guys that I brought somebody to the emergency room. This individual had to have X-rays done, and would you believe that the individual, the X-ray technician, had to be called in? It was quite late, so that's understandable. But then afterwards, they gave us a bill, and I'm saying to the guy, the cashier, but this person pays NIC. Doesn't NIC cover these medical expenses? And I was told no, NIC would cover this only if you are admitted. I didn't know that. I did not know that. So imagine that, St. Lucia. If you don't have money, if you don't have cash, if you are a poor person who cannot afford or who is living paycheck to paycheck and you have no disposable income, which is the case for 99.9% of St. Lucian citizens right now, crapo, smoke your pipe.
Angie, what you said is so true, but people in St. Lucia have to sit down and take a notebook and take note of their own self. If you show the government jazz festival, thousands of St. Lucian jazz festival, you think the government will care about your health care? All they will see, you see all the solutions that are in the jazz festival, okay, they have to pay for the health care. That's why they can come on to spend their money, they can take off the health care. Okay, that's a big problem in St. Lucia. And you know, my people in St. Lucia, they have to wake up.
Cole, I don't know how to tell them that anymore, you know. I really don't know what to say, Cola. I don't know what to say.
They're looking at the white man. They're looking at the white man, but I always tell them, looking at the white man carefully. Because when the white man's father was sick, he flew the father to Florida, get treatment. Okay? How many of you all that can send your father or yourself in Florida to get treatment? High-risk sickness. Okay, and the father is 92 years old. 92.
Right.
Okay? And you think when that man sit down and see what is going on, he has to send the father into Florida to get treatment. And he's sitting on that plane with that dad and look down to St. Lucia and said, wow, how other people that cannot make it like me and my father will survive in a country?
Exactly. And caller, that's another thing, you know. When I would look at what we have lost, wouldn't a wouldn't health insurance coverage come in handy there? I,
Yes.
every time I think about these things, caller, I just get so
I know.
confused. I get so confused because why would you put yourself at a disadvantage? If that individual that I took to the police, to the health center or the hospital, sorry, I have to say health center because what I saw there was
Yes,
not a
health
hospital.
center.
What I saw there was a
I
health
give them
center.
two
I'm sorry.
names.
It was a health center.
I give them two names a couple of years ago, Angie. I give them two names. I give those two hospitals two names. St. Jude and OKU, I give them two names 2 years ago. I give them St. Jude is I injured you, OKU, I kill you. That's the name I give them.
Oh, gee.
Okay?
Caller,
That's the name I give them 2 years ago.
if we
Angie,
had universal health insurance, national health insurance, sorry, if we had national health insurance today, wouldn't we have been better off, St. Lucia? Wouldn't we have been better off as a nation? I'm telling you, the guy at the cash informed me that NIC only foots those bills when you are admitted. Now, when you get to the hospital, to the accident and emergency, you're required to pay a fee of $20 before the doctor sees you, you know.
Yes.
You know that. Before
Yes, I know
the
that.
doctor can see you, you have to pay $20. So if you don't have $20, crap will smoke your pipe. You cannot even afford to get sick in St. Lucia. Let that sink in, people. Let it sink in. Think about it. Let it go through your head. Let it go through your mind. Understand it properly. Understand the state that we are in properly.
You know what I suspect with Lucian?
Tell me.
You see, when the head of state and the colleague of the head of state talk bad about something and they put it in the ignorant mind, and the ignorant mind spread it like a step to the bottom of the barrel. And when all those people come together, nobody can understand, said, that one is lying, he can give us health care. That's what the head of state tell them, and the head of state colleague keep on preaching it, and the poor man take it, and then non-educated people start to spread the rumors, you know, and it's a problem. It's a problem.
It is a problem, caller. I can tell you that it is a problem. It is a problem.
Because, Angie, when you tell me, when I have people call editors and say, no government can stop crime. Yes, government can stop crime. That's the government job to hire people to stop the crime.
Yep.
If you have a crime government, you will get crime.
Yep.
Okay? Crime government bring crime. Crime ministers, everybody in crime bring crime. Okay, I look at my the guy is not my family, but me and the wife is cousin. The chief police.
Are you talking about Vungad?
Huh? Vungad, yes.
Yeah.
Vungad married to my cousin.
Right.
I look at Vungad. Vungad want to help, you know. I look at that man, but he don't have the strength. Too much crooked people around Vungad. Vungad have to step out from that and say, you know what, I'm not doing it for our Prime Minister, I'm not doing it for nobody, I'm doing it for St. Lucia.
That's right.
Okay? I love Vanguard. Vanguard, when I heard Vanguard speak, I said, you know, that guy can be a good chief of police.
Mm-hmm.
But there is too much from you already playing your and you bring that thing there, bring that thing there.
Yeah.
It's too much.
Too many people pulling him in different directions, you mean, caller?
Shane, yes. I look at that young man, I said, wow. Vanguard had to step out and say, you know what? Let me build a different police force. Okay, let me make the Prime Minister know I will hire young people into the police force. Okay, and Vanguard has to put a bill out and say any police officer we see by a bar drinking rum, they will go on leave without pay. You have to start from there.
Can he do that though? Is that legal?
Yes, because when you're a police officer, you don't have to eat nowhere in nobody's hand. That's conflict of interest.
Okay.
Okay? They don't have to, if they're on duty, they can do what they want to do when they're on duty. Okay? When you have that clause on you, you're not supposed to stop by no banking run.
Okay. Well, that's true, obviously.
Okay? And if Vanguard step into that position like that and make those police know, I am the chief of police and I am telling you what to do. When you're not in uniform, you can do whatever I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Too much police drinking rum, too much police taking money under the table. You know? How a police can make $40,000 a year and you have the biggest house in St. Lucia?
I don't know.
Okay? How? Is something wrong? They do something wrong. You know? But Angie, I'm telling you, Angie, you see, if every St. Lucian radio station was like you, speak the truth to the nation, everything will be better. But St. Lucian don't like to hear the truth. And anytime St. Lucian likes hands out, it will be a problem.
Yep.
It will be a problem. And the government bill, they build a future to give St. Lucian hands out, not quality of life.
Yeah.
Okay? Or I have you in my pocket.
But
You know?
but here's the question I want to ask, caller. Do you think that is a sustainable system of government?
No. A system of government is put work for the people and give them a decent pay.
Yeah.
Okay? Simply, when I look at government cannot give everybody work.
That's true.
Okay? The private sector taking advantage on our people. The hotel taking advantage on our people. Okay, and our people, because they're making a little dozen nickel, they want to protect that. They will take the advantage just to protect that little job to take off the home. It's not supposed to be like that.
But can you blame them though? Can you blame
No,
an
I can't blame
individual
them.
for trying to protect their victory, so to speak? Because the Prime Minister of St. Lucia is protecting his victory. He's protecting his
Yes.
pocket. He's protecting his livelihood. Can we blame the average St. Lucian for doing the same? Can we blame the average St. Lucian for turning a blind eye, keeping their head down, keeping their shoulders to the wheel, and simply surviving? No, we cannot.
No, we can't do that.
But that's not the way it should be.
No. You're supposed to look at yourself and walk your head up, not down. Okay. Now you tell me, as a prime minister, you have 17 candidates, everybody have a ministry. Ministry of what? Ministry of what? The healthcare is a problem, crime is a problem, water is a problem. What is not a problem in St. Lucia?
I would say breathing, but we have Sahara dust in the air, so sorry.
Okay. And when you look at it, Minister of Tourism, that's the biggest garbage minister I ever see. I'm not afraid to say it.
Wow. Why you say that, caller? I need to know why you say that.
Let me ask you something, Angie. Let me tell you why I say that. If you have a doctorate, if you have a PhD, you behave like somebody that has sense and have a PhD. Not bully people because of your PhD you buy online.
Wow.
Anybody can buy a PhD online. Okay? Even the lady Sarah Paulus have a PhD and she behaving more like somebody that have a PhD. Two persons I know that have a PhD in St. Lucia and I have a problem with them. Here and the lady in Babuno.
You mean Dr. Virginia Albert Poyot?
Yes. That lady, I don't know what kind of PhD she have. Okay? When you have a PhD, you're supposed to educate your people the right thing. Not come and say, put them down and say, oh, that company have right, that company by the beach. No, you know our beach never there to sell. Our beach is our beach. You know? And when you come as a PhD holder and you tell the people that the people say, oh, you have a PhD holder, you know what you're talking about. That's what they will say. Okay? Not because you have a PhD, you come and talk garbage in people's heads.
True.
You know? Only one thing Kenny said, when Kenny said we cannot get money to borrow anymore as a doctor. Okay, he comes straight and he tells the people that. Okay, this is what people that have PhD make, that have sense, will tell you.
But then, caller, remember the agenda. When Kenny Anthony came out and told the people the truth, something happened, we couldn't borrow. What happened? He lost the election. So
yes.
This current administration, they do not want to lose. They're telling you that they want to protect the victory. So when they have these things, they know it will cause a problem. They will not tell the people the truth. They don't want the people to know the truth. Because when the people hear these things, what do you think they will do? They will vote them out. They will put in somebody who they feel will do a better job.
Yes. But, Angie, I don't know if you remember, I think it's 2010, in between 10 and 8, when Kenny come and said, we don't need 2 airports in St. Lucia. We need only 1 airport. All that time, government sell our 2nd airport to the hotel that building in by the airport. He sell the airport for those people. He sell that. Okay, now because people raise hell now, he stepped back from that deal to sell our 2nd airport. Okay, and when God bless Juba, Juba said, how you can sell our airport, our 2nd airport, if for emergency we can land? in Castries. I never heard about that deal again. Okay? How you building a big story building by an airport? Okay? You cannot build no big building by any airport.
That's true.
That tall. Okay? What's the plan now? When they build that building, they say, okay, that airport has to be closed because it's too tall. Solution, use your brain. Stop drinking rum, letting rum eat your brains. Solution never have a tall hotel like that. Our hotel is 2 floors. 3 floors. How many floors that hotel they put in 60 floors?
I don't know, caller. I don't recall, and I don't want to give you the wrong information, but I do know that the residents in the area, they are not having it. They are not having it. They've gone on the media, they've signed petitions, they are not having it. So let's see how this situation plays out in the coming months. But thank you so much for your contribution, caller.
Yeah, man. Yes, sir, Auntie.
It's always a pleasure hearing from you.
Yeah. Chico coming tonight?
Oh, yes, definitely.
Okay. All right. Okay. Bye-bye, Auntie.
Okay, bye-bye. Well, people, we are in trouble. Somebody is saying on the Facebook platform, I strongly believe it's time for outside help to deal with that crime problem. Enough is enough. Another says, and the hacks don't want you to talk about it. Another says, just listening to this is heartbreaking. Somebody says, but they are not marching as it is a labor administration. Somebody says, where are the people that tell you the government is working? Where are they now? Well, the people who tell you the government is working, I need you guys to ask them a question for me. If it is the truth that the government is working, and I don't doubt that they are working, I just want to know what they are working on. Somebody says what you saw was small. Someone told me things are not going right at OKEU. Somebody says, oh my God, what a shame. Guys, I'm telling you, dire straits. Another person says, caller well said. Somebody says, hold on, let me. OKEU in that mess, and look, Pinez infestation at VH. A deterioration of our health systems. I don't even want to ask you guys what's going on. Those of you in the South, I don't want to ask you what was going on or what is currently going on at St. Jude's. I don't know what part of St. Jude's has been opened, what part is not opened still. I have no idea, but I know that we are in trouble. Let's take a quick commercial break and we will be right back.
You already know the power of Licks products on your clothes and household. You Licks your whites and colored clothes, leaving them fresh and scented. You Licks your dishes and left your hands protected with vitamin E. You Licks your floors, even Licks your toilet. Now we expand and bring you 3 new scents in our fabric softener. Balmy Sunshine, Summer Sunshine, and Thousand Flowers. And rinse those stains off of colored clothes with Licks Cover Safe Bleach. Licks went even further with Body Care Body Soap Bars in deodorant and antibacterial. So Licks tiredness and bacteria out and refresh your tired body. Your products giving you Licks? Then choose Licks from Today Distribution Inc. Available at all leading supermarkets.
All right, guys, it is 3:46 p.m. here on Fire 107.7 FM, and you're listening to Hard Talk. And we're talking about the state of crime and of healthcare in the island. We're going to hop back onto the Facebook platform and see what the audience thinks about what is going on in St. Lucia. Somebody says, I thought the newly installed CEO at OKEU would bring about positive changes to the institution. Well, so did I. But, we have another caller on the line. Good afternoon to you, caller. You are on the air.
Good afternoon to you, Angie. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm there. Had a tiring weekend.
You sound like you took in some of the jazz.
No, the jazz was jazzing me.
Talk to me.
Angie, while you're on the issue of the state of the healthcare, I could not hesitate but to call because for the life of me, how worse can it get?
Caller, sometimes you cannot ask for, you can't say statement, you can't make these statements, because be careful what you wish for, next thing we get it. You're talking about worse. Be careful, caller, be careful. Don't put that out there in the universe.
Well, whether we have to be, sometimes we have to be realistic and face the realities as they are, and then wake up sometimes from our dream, but in reality, it's bad.
It is. It's terrible.
While you were relating your experience at OKEU, by mere coincidence, somebody called me and told me they experienced something. They saw two things at OKEU over the weekend. The person called me and told me, listen, Ian, what they saw personally was appalling, was sad. They said when they were dropping a relative of theirs, similar situation to yours, to the entrance of OKEU, they saw a urinal with urine.
Yes, that person, yes, I can confirm that.
But, St. Lucia, the entrance to your accident and emergency department, the first thing that person saw over the weekend was a urinal with urine standing directly to the entrance of the accident and emergency department of the at the OKEU hospital.
Caller,
the person even wanted to tell me if they were not so vigilant, they would have they would have kicked this thing over, and it could have been a messy situation.
Wow. I saw it before. I saw it. So I didn't. That is crazy, isn't it, caller? That is crazy.
That is crazy. That is unacceptable. That is, I don't know what adjectives to use again to describe this. When the person told me that, I had to literally ask the person, the individual who called me and said, Ian, please highlight this situation, whether on Hardtalk, whatever medium that lends itself to you, giving out that information or making mention of it, please do so. And I had to ask the individual, are you serious? You showed us what you saw? They said, yes, we saw a urinal with urine out just to the entrance as you enter the OKEU hospital. Could you imagine that, St. Lucia? This is your medical facility, OKEU, your major or main medical facility. And this is what persons saw firsthand as they entered the accident and emergency department. St. Lucia, is that what you voted for? Now, the hacks, the Labour Party hacks will jump quickly and say, oh, it's not Philippe or not Moussa Baptiste that put the urinal there. That's not what we're saying. What we're saying is if you have a serious government, they will put serious people in place, in position to ensure that these things don't happen, to ensure that your medical facilities are managed and managed well. This is the point I'm trying to bring across, Angie.
Yep. And I let me tell you, I wish I could say that person was a liar, but then I would be a liar. But the person told you the truth. The person told you the truth.
It got worse, Angie. The person wanted to tell me as they entered the emergency department of the OKEU hospital, they saw a gentleman lying on the cold floor.
Oh Lord, that person must have been there at the
with,
same time I was there.
with a gown, like a yellow gown. You know that at the hospital they
Yep.
give you those gowns. It's
That
a yellow
person
gown.
that person was there at the same time that I was there because that's what I saw.
But it's getting scarier. It got scarier and even more sad. The person told me they actually witnessed a doctor after maybe God knows how long the gentleman was lying on that cold floor at your emergency and accident and emergency department at OKU. A doctor came and said, "Sir, we did not even know you were there." And the doctor in question, the witness, the person who told me that, decided to get the gentleman off the cold floor, the floor, placed him on a wheelchair, and then brought him to be triaged at the triage area. The nurse in question responded to the doctor by saying to the doctor, "We did not even know that gentleman was at the accident and emergency department."
Wow.
So God knows how long this gentleman was lying on a cold floor, St. Lucia, at your accident and emergency department. And the person also told me they were minding their business, but they just happened to be around close enough. Hearing the gentleman in pain saying to the nurse in question and the doctor that he had no feelings. He could not, he was in so much pain that he had no feelings on his right side. And that
Wow.
he was in some altercation with some guy, some fight, and he had a bad wound, and he was just screaming down the place. So St. Lucia, this gentleman is a citizen of St. Lucia. And if the country, if St. Lucia can treat a citizen like that, who is a taxpayer, he may not be paying taxes directly, but indirectly, when he buys a soda, a soft drink, or when he buys whatever, he pays taxes indirectly. And if the system, if the country is failing that gentleman by allowing an ambulance service to drop off a gentleman, he's been lying there God knows how long on a cold floor at your accident and emergencies department at OKEU. Then I could safely say, Angie, the system, the country is failing us and has failed that gentleman. So, St. Lucia, the person told me that, and you some of the things that the person told me, you can validate it, you can relate to it, Angie, because you said you saw it. So it's not now it tells me that the person was truthful about what they witnessed, and it is sad that if we had a serious government in place who put serious people in managerial positions at those medical facilities, then a situation where you saw a urinal if urine to the entrance of your emergency department, that would never happen. To the point where a gentleman was laying on a cold floor for hours.
Yep.
Could not see a doctor, a nurse could not even attend to him. The nurse in question was in the triage area, did not even know the gentleman was there. That is what people face at those medical facilities in St. Lucia in 2026, Angie.
I'm telling you, I haven't been there in a while, but I had occasion to be there, and I am telling you, when I opened the door to walk in, caller, and I saw what was going on, I said, no, I'm in the wrong place. I literally went back out and I counted the doors. I said, maybe I took the wrong door. But it was true. What I saw was true. I didn't want to believe my eyes, and whoever said that to you, that person was there probably because there were a bunch of people there. That person must have been around they were there around the same time I was there, because that did happen. I did witness it. I can corroborate that story because I saw it myself. I wouldn't
The person even told me, apart from those two accounts, what hurt her more was the fact that a gentleman he and his girlfriend or his wife, whatever the relationship, came with a baby.
Wow.
Who was unwell. The baby was throwing up, could not keep things down, sick, throwing up constantly, and had to be sitting there for hours before they saw a nurse and a doctor, to the point where the gentleman got so irate and went in there and started quarreling and what have you. And only then he was attended to, and still he had to wait another, maybe God knows how long before he got the treatment or the attention that he came for. A baby. In the real world, Angie, if you enter or if you go to an accident and emergency department and you're a baby and you have that kind of condition where you throw the baby is throwing up,
Yeah.
cannot keep anything down, is sick, the first thing they would have done is give that baby absolute priority. But no, in our country, St. Lucia, a gentleman and his wife or his girlfriend had to be sitting there for hours before they saw a doctor or nurse. And if the gentleman was passive and not assertive, it could have been worse.
Yeah.
This is a situation that people confront on a daily basis at your accident and emergency department of the OKEU hospital. And I'm not even spoken to St. Jude or other medical facilities in St. Lucia. I'm just relating what the person told me they experienced over the weekend at the OKEU hospital. And we allow these things to continue, and government ministers keeps getting their salary on a monthly basis, and there's no accountability.
Caller, let me tell you that.
Nobody says anything.
Let me tell you something. Do you know, caller, that if it was a UWP government in administration, and a UWP administration in government, sorry, that people would be on the streets protesting, doctors would have gone on strike. I remember when Dr. Long went up, Dr. Desmond Long, when he was going up for elections, that for the first time in St. Lucia, doctors and nurses at the Victoria Hospital went on strike. I think that was during the Stevenson King administration, but I could be wrong. I think that's the time that happened.
No, you could be. You're right, Angie. And at the time, Keith Mondays, he was the Minister of Health.
Right.
You're right. You're right. You're absolutely correct. And they have the balls, the secular fortitude to strike and to protest and to put down their tools because they were fed up. But here is a situation where we just this 3 events that the person called me and told me, Ian, please highlight those three things, because it's worth highlighting. It's worth that people know the situation that people endure or have to go through when they go to those medical facilities. And I said, when I'm hearing you having this conversation, I said, no, I cannot not profit the opportunity to bring this thing to the fore, so that people will know on a daily basis what people face in St. Lucia. And it could be better, Angie, like you said, had we taken the medical plan that Alan Chastney had, where you could have medical insurance, where people could have the best medical facilities and the best equipment and the best conditions. And I'm not being biased here. There's no perfect medical healthcare.
Yeah.
No perfect healthcare, because in the United States of America, you have issues. Don't get me wrong. But the difference is when in the United States of America, when they have issues such as minor issues when it comes to healthcare, people are being held accountable. Heads will rule.
And that is the difference. What you just said there, caller, that is the fundamental difference in St. Lucia. No accountability, not from the government ministers, not from the persons working in the ministry, not from the heads of the hospital, not from anyone. Nobody wants to take accountability. Nobody.
Had that happened,
nobody does it. Yeah.
Had that happened in the United States of America, where people witness a urinal urine at the edges of the hospital, where they witness a gentleman on the cold floor seeking medical attention for hours, by now the entire board of that hospital would have had to resign. In St. Lucia, business as usual.
Yeah.
People were jazzing up, they were in their weekend jazz and they were flirting and then drinking their alcohol. Meanwhile, at your accident and emergency department or at the OKEU hospital, this is what the person witnessed. Jazz weekend. So I'm just sing that in. Over the weekend, it could be your family, it could be you, God forbid, who possibly would have had to face going to that accident and emergency, and this is what you would have experienced or witnessed. Sing that in St. Lucia, and this is what you voted for. This is what you're paying your tax dollar for, and this is and government ministers and those boards, which are political appointees, by the way, scratch my back and I scratch yours
Right,
with no
right.
competence. They have no competence to manage nothing, not even a coffee shop or to sell icicles. But they hold those positions because of political favor. And they cannot manage not even a coffee shop. I will not allow some of these government appointees, Angie, truthfully speaking, I will not even hire them to manage my icicle business.
Do you have an icicle
Because
business squad?
if I had an icicle business selling ice lollies and icicles and ice cream, a small business, I would not hire those guys to manage my business. Why? They have had no experience when it comes to managing anything. But yet still, because of the party, they campaign for the party or they fund the party, they put them in those positions and
Jobs.
they're incompetent
Jobs for the
boys
boys.
and the
Yeah.
girls.
You know what
For my-
irks me?
for my
You know what
knowledge-
irks me, caller? Let me just cut it. You know what irks me? These people tell you what they're doing, you know. They literally say to you, jobs. Kenny Anthony literally said jobs for the boys. He said it. And he proceeded to give all his boys jobs. And St. Lucian swallowed that and did nothing. Said nothing. Affirmative action, they called it.
Yes, I can tell you, I can relate to affirmative action. I have been a victim of political victimization in St. Lucia. Though I don't no longer reside in St. Lucia, but when I lived in St. Lucia, I'm a typical example of what you call political victimization. All because I chose to support a political party, which is my constitutional right. I was personally victimized. But I was saying, Angie, from my information, the CEO of OKEU, which is the Millennium Heights complex, or whatever they
Yes,
call
yeah,
it,
Millennium Heights Medical Complex.
medical complex, is, what's his name? Damian Greaves, aka Short Pants. What I'm going to do, because this individual, this person who related those sad stories to me, you just collaborated some of her stories. So it's factual, it's truthful.
Yeah.
I am going to call Damian Greaves, my friend. He's been my longtime friend for years. I am going to endeavor to call Damian Greaves and tell him what the person related to me and also indicate to him that I collaborated the story, what the person witnessed. Because it cannot be right when somebody is going to get medical attention and the first thing they see is a urinative urine at the entrance of the accident and emergency department. The young lady told me they brought that attention to those persons who clean the area, the thing. And the lady responded by telling her, me, I ain't touching that. I ain't touching that. Could you imagine that?
I witnessed
So
that.
clarity is
I witnessed that. I witnessed that.
Oh, you witnessed that?
I witnessed that.
Stanusha, you listening to this?
I witnessed that.
A cleaner, well, I don't like to say cleaner. There's a sophisticated term for them, environmental aid or whatever they call them in the US. They don't say janitor anymore. They don't say cleaner. They say environmental aid. So an environmental aid was alerted. It was brought to her attention that this urinal was standing outside of the door, the entrance of the OKEU hospital, the accident and emergency. And her response was, me, I ain't touching that.
Yeah, I witnessed that. That happened. I was.
St. Lucia, you listening to this? We have to do better, St. Lucia. We have to demand better. We are paying politicians in government a salary every month.
A
We are paying those
substantial
CEOs
salary.
on those boards.
The salary is substantial. You say a salary as if they are collecting, the same amount or minimum wage. These people are very well paid. These people collect after the salary. They have so many perks, so many allowances, so many incentives, and still they cannot do the job right. It cannot work that way, guys. It cannot work that way.
It cannot work. It cannot work that way. It should have never worked that way because from my investigation, my little investigation, like I said last week, ministers get their basic salary, they get entertainment allowance, they get traveling allowance, they get food allowance, all sorts of allowances. While you, St. Lucia, have to pay more for gas. You have to find money for transportation. If you have a vehicle, tires, insurance, gas, all sorts of pay the bill, utilities, all kind of thing. You have to pay for it. But yet still, you the taxpayer, you the citizens of St. Lucia have to pay their salary in taxes, whether indirectly or directly.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what people experience on a daily basis. Like I said, I'm going to end here. I'm going to ensure that I seek an audience or get in contact with Damian Graves. Because the buck stops with the head. He's the CEO. And let him know what the person related to me and indicate to him that the story, I collaborated the story. I won't say who collaborated or who told me. That's not the issue here.
That's not the issue.
The issue here is what the person witnessed over the weekend at the accident and emergency department at the OKEO hospital. Angie, we are in serious trouble. If that's what we've seen at our medical facilities with no health care, no medical insurance, we are in a sad place. Have a blessed day.
Thank you so much for that, caller. Guys, y'all may not want to believe it, but it is the truth. It is the truth. It is the truth. And it's a sad, sorry truth, but it is the truth. Over here on the Facebook platform, somebody is saying, if Lucian's ambulance was equipped with life-saving equipment, a lot of people would survive. I think, I cannot say for sure, guys, whether or not the ambulances are equipped with life-saving equipment or what kind of equipment they carry. Because again, I'm not an expert in ambulance equipment or equipping, but I don't know. I cannot, but I can endeavor to ask and find out, because I think it's worth finding out. It is worth it. Somebody says, caller, say it again. Another person says, that's why some people are staying home to die, because they have no monies to pay. Some go to the hospital when it's too late. That is true. Somebody says, caller, say thank God you escaped that backwards country. Wow. Another person saying, let the people of our country say your government is working. Another person says, you are on point, caller. Somebody says, my friend, you guys keep saying we have 3 problems. You guys are wrong. The country's major problem, you are not seeing it. We've got a housing problem and you guys are not seeing it. Well, it's 4 problems. We stand corrected. We do have a housing problem in St. Lucia, but I have good news. So guys, do you recall that BMAX housing project that the Prime Minister supposedly misplaced because, like he said, nobody could tell him where the BMAX site was? He didn't know what the BMAX project was. You guys remember that? Every time he was asked a question, he said, people keep talking about this BMAX site. I don't know. Well, work has commenced on that site. Somebody sent me a picture or some pictures showing some activity. So this evening when Foster joins me, you know I am going to ask him the long and short of this situation, because again, guys, I may not be working in a gas station, but I think I deserve the chance at owning a condo. And I hope none of you guys would begrudge me this opportunity, even if I am not from Castries East. So I will find out about this. I will find out more about this. And I am hoping that Foster has the information because it's gonna be hot, guys. Somebody else says they are looking for the hacks. Another one says, where is the health department with the bed bugs? They are too busy going around in villas looking for bed bugs. Well, they're looking for bed bugs at the Victoria Hospital because an infestation of bed bugs has been cited or discovered at the Victoria Hospital. I don't know what's going on at St. Jude's. I'm hoping that St. Jude's is not suffering from the same affliction. Somebody says, honestly, if I see these things, I will be recording and posting it daily to show exactly where we are versus the garage our so-called ministers say. Oh, I think that person was saying garbage. I'm not sure. Somebody says, yes, St. Lucia's voted, but I cannot repeat on the air what the person said the St. Lucians voted for. Naughty. You guys know this is a safe space. Be nice. Another one says, this is what they wanted, Ian. Somebody says, yes, simply because they are very racist in St. Lucia. Another one says, good afternoon, my sister. Good program. Angie, I can't believe you had to witness a man bedpan bottle in the entrance of the hospital and a nurse or doctor considers, well, it's not a nurse or a doctor. It was actually the cleaner who said that they were not going to touch it. Somebody says, my partner, well, the person continues, my partner is a nurse in Wales. I called him after listening to your preamble. He told me that they are responsible to dispose the urine and rinse the urinal bottle. Shame on this healthcare professional, in my opinion. The director and the health minister are not doing a good job in the healthcare sector. Greetings from Wales. Angie, have a good day. Thank you for that. Well, it was the cleaner, by the way, who this person said, the person alerted the cleaner to the fact that there was that bottle there. I'm so sorry to have to confirm this, but the lady said, me, I'm not touching that. And you know when your grandmother say, moi wete bouche gouve, moi wete bouche gouve. Somebody says they will feel the pressure. Somebody says, again, Invader sang it right. Everywhere we go, they have a canteen there. Somebody says, Angie, I work in health. We have a call on the line. Angie, I work in health. The ambulance has nothing inside. Wow. Greetings. Good afternoon. Happy Mother's Day. Welcome to the broadcast. I'm good, caller. I'm good. I'm just sad at what I had to see over the weekend.
Yes.
Just very sad.
I have a friend working at the hospital, and sometimes we speak. Sometimes she speak to me about what you saw is nothing as yet.
What?
It's nothing. Yes, they're
frustrated. You're scaring me.
They're frustrated at that OKEU hospital. I don't know what's going on there. Listen, I won't be long. You know, if you have a man, I will say a man because the women wear pants or woman, you have a saw under your pants, and you put on a pants nobody knows, and you won't take care of that saw under the pants. You understand? What will it do?
Fester,
there is a time it will be affected.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you'll have
when
to cut
you
off
try
the
to
leg.
make people believe that all is well. Listen, during the election campaign, you see that they were eager, especially Moses Jean-Baptiste, to make people believe that everything was okay. So when you hide, when people don't speak about what's going on, you will not, will I say, do the right thing, because it's been hidden. You understand?
I understand.
When United Workers Party was in office, they gave all kind of things. You know, we never saw the COVID. The COVID. Things was a little bit rough.
Yeah.
on Alan's side. They call, and the same time election was coming. So they say, let us profit to hit on him with that thing, calling their friends, saying things, but it was never worse like now.
Yeah.
Now.
Well, caller, let me tell you something. The doctors that were at OKEU before, that is before the management team walked out.
Yeah.
The president of the Medical and Dental Association, Dr. Merle Clark, she wrote a letter.
Yeah.
She wrote a letter to the management of OKEU, and she said it has never been this bad. She was asking for help. She was asking for equipment. She was asking for all sorts of things. And what happened? We saw a government minister, a sitting minister, call her a Zelev. You guys remember that? I know you'll remember that, those of you listening. She was called a Zelev in front of the Prime Minister. I listened to the video. I watched the video. The Prime Minister was seated right there. The gentleman came in. He was speaking. He was giving his speech. He said, "Hey, PJP, you there? My boy, how are you?" And then he called the lady a Zelev. When reporters questioned the Prime Minister, you know what he responded? Did he call her name? I didn't hear. I didn't hear. You didn't hear? It happened right in front of you. It happened right in front of you. We know you were there because the individual said, "Hey, PJP, my boy, you there?"
Yes.
As if you were not the Prime Minister of St. Lucia.
You see?
You remember that?
They hid all the problem. Now the problem is on them now because they hid it. Make people believe all was right. You remember? Everything okay.
Yes.
Is United Workers.
Enemy of the state, they called us.
Them now. Beg your pardon?
They called people like myself who were talking about these problems enemy of the state.
Yes. Never question Musa. All what he was doing is to talk about the insurance that Alan, he couldn't say about his, He never gave the insurance and what he was saying that, what is that thing they're talking about?
Universal healthcare, caller. Universal
not
healthcare.
that. Only they were talking about is
the snake bite.
When you having babies,
you mean the blood test and the ultrasound? Yes, that's true.
The ultrasound, that's all they were talking about. And speaking about Alan's universal healthcare, they didn't reassure anybody of what they would do after they won the election. And look, it's on them now. And what they're doing, they're preventing people from speaking the truth. So if you don't know, if people don't speak about what's going on, how could you adjust it? If people keep quiet, how can you know what's going on? You understand? You don't
caller, they learned their lesson from Kenny Anthony. When Kenny Anthony came on Jadia Jean-Pierre's show or whatever, because he was having a conversation with Jadia Jean-Pierre, and he said something happened. We cannot borrow.
Yes.
You know what happened? The next thing that happened, he lost the election. So now they don't want you to come and say the hospital is in disarray or none of the hospitals are up to standard, because then they will lose the victory. So they are protecting the victory.
You see what they did? They hurriedly cut ribbons for a bit. And we have cinema in St. Lucia.
Let me tell you,
we have things in St. Lucia I never experienced in my life. They run and they gave up a building. Up to now, there's work that is being done in the hospice and the old St. Jude's. They cannot finish it. So that's labor. They hide these things away. They hide, and after a time, it just explodes in their face. That's what's going on with these people.
Yep.
Well, anyway, people will learn. They will learn. Don't let people fool them. You all have a mind of your own. Think. Don't let sweet words fool you all. You all must think for yourselves and notions. That's what I'll leave with you all. Bye bye, MG.
Thank you for that,
I'm waiting
caller.
for your next
Yes,
with Foster.
of
Yes.
course.
Ali, bye bye.
Yeah, bye
Bye
bye.
bye.
Guys, let me tell you, it is a sorry, sad state of affairs. Sorry and sad. I am afraid to get sick in St. Lucia, I will tell you that. I am afraid. And I am one of these individuals who've always had faith in my country, no matter how bad people said things were. It's like the West Indies team. People can say whatever they want. Some people call it the West Indies, but win, lose, or draw, I support. I am there. Even if while I am at the game, my mouth is so long, people will think that is a jetty I'm carrying in front of me. Even if I am upset when we lose, I am upset when the wickets fall, but I still support my team. And that's how I feel about my country. But awa, sometimes pour changer l'idée moi laisse ici. Mais ça fait. Somebody says, Angie, one eye, dolly eye. Huh. You want to put me in trouble, caller? I'm not saying anything. Somebody's asking who is that again. I'm not saying a word. Somebody else is saying PJP is a wicked and evil devil. Well, I cannot in good conscience say that. What I think is Philip J. Pierre is negligent as a prime minister. I say negligent because while I do not blame the prime minister for what his ministers are doing, I blame him for not ensuring that they do the job. But we have a caller on the line. Good afternoon to you, caller. You are on the air.
Yes, Angie. Hello. How are you doing?
I'm okay, caller. What about you?
Yes, Angie. So, Angie, I just want to say my condolences to the people that lost their life in Marsha.
Yeah.
I remember just recently I was giving you an example of Marsha, and particularly the murder 60. I think she was in her 60s or something.
The elderly lady.
Yeah.
Wow.
I believe she was in her 60s, and you know I heard she even had at least 7 children.
Wow. Wow.
And you know, I'm not just that. That is maybe appealing. Not maybe that is appealing the community who will be gone forever and ever,
Yeah.
and to circumstances that could be avoided, not circumstances that cannot be avoided, that could be avoided. And Angie, I'll tell you this in shortened form.
Mm-hmm.
With the impact report, as much as Kenny might try to use it as a political tool,
Mm-hmm.
I believe some things inside of there were meant, were actually factual to a basis where, you know, there were actually 12 people who lost their lives. We cannot say allegedly 12 people who lost their lives to police extraditional killings, and that is what that ignited. That is what that ignited the Lee law to have the Americans place sanctions on our country, which is still in effect to this day.
Yep, and we're still suffering from it, caller. We are suffering. Caller, let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. Do you believe? Let me ask you a question. Do you believe that this has no impact on the police right now? Oh, somebody saying that the lady was 64 years old. Very sad.
Yeah.
So I was asking you, do you honestly believe that report that the police are no longer suffering the effects? The country is no longer suffering the effects?
They're still suffering because, you know, in that time we lost a police commissioner.
Mm-hmm.
And from that time we had acting police commissioners. We never had a police. After Vernon François, you know, he wrote his book and all that. That cost a lot of lives. That broke in a lot of families. And there's still many questions that the lady, which is the human rights activists have been speaking about.
Yeah, that would be Miss Mary Francis.
And the thing is, one thing I can take away from this impact report to me is that when it stated that the government officials, police and businessmen were facilitators of crime. And that is something that have not been addressed as yet.
Yep, and we still, you're right. You're very correct about that, caller. And you know that is a part that a lot of people miss. A lot of people have forgotten about that part. A lot of people.
Yeah, and the time was, who was one of those who mentioned in the impact report to this day he's on the government side right now. So Angie, my thing is, people do not want to go to the roots of the problem, and now so you see from time.
Go ahead.
From time the 2010 when they had Operation Restore Confidence and the breakdown of our society. That was just one of the events when the evilness of crime surged.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yep, you correct.
And the effects to that was nothing happened after that. Nothing happened, and it only grew to what we are experiencing today.
Yep.
So what happened is that, Angie, the Prime Minister himself was Deputy Prime Minister when Operation Restore Confidence was going around, when Kenny Anthony was doing all his hoorah about the impact report. And they might say today, what's his name, the special prosecutor find it ineffective or whatnot. The point is, Angie, there was a monster was growing in the background, which is crime, and those politicians use crime for political gain, which is the part of a chapter of destructive politics, like I like to call it.
That's why I said to you. That's why I said to you, short-term political expediency. That's what they did,
Yes.
That is what they did.
For long-term destruction.
Yes.
For long-term destruction.
That's what they did. Let's not sugarcoat it. Let us say exactly what happened.
And now, Angie, you know what is happening? The communities now have gone to a stage of sectarian violence. And if you know what sectarian violence is, it's a religious where sections of societies, like for example Muslims against Christians, it's not that in St. Lucia. It is actually communities against communities. So for example, Marshall against another part of Marshall, like what is happening unfolding there. Those communities are actually boarding up the communities and patrolling the communities and with protection of the communities, Angie. And the sad thing about it, the very sad thing about it, for example, if you're in Marshall Boulevard and maybe you have problem with a community just higher up the boulevard, how do you pass now to go to cash streets to do shopping?
Exactly.
Innocent people like people's mother who have 7 children getting killed in that. What's about the children now? Where are the children? Where is the outreach? Where is the social safety net to outreach to those families? What those people are thinking about, Angie? What do you think those people are thinking about? Not reprisals?
Yes.
You just say, let's kill my mother. Let me just think about it. Just come in the belly of the... That's why
put yourself in their shoes, caller. Put yourself in their shoes. What would you be thinking about?
We can blame the police. We can play the blame game every day. But you know what will happen? Somebody will die later today or tomorrow or a week from now. You understand? It's just at the right timing and those different things. Because you know why? There's no safety net anymore. It's like a free for all. That is why I tell you there's a systematic. There's no must even protect. So like I tell you, there's a systematic breakdown in the killing of the solutionist or the solution man.
Yeah.
You understand? Because while those guys are selling our passport at a rapid rate, I'm seeing Ernest Hill in all ceremonies talking about CIP and how great CIP are. Still divided. Still not taking on the Americans or the English or anything. Still selling our passport to thousands of foreigners. 10 to 2-3 decades from now, those people will have second generations of solutions.
Yes.
And the native solutions will not be there to inherit their land.
You're right.
That is why I told the Prime Minister last time, if you want to secure the youth of this country, give every first-time parent an apartment, at least 2-bedroom apartment, and every first-time young person that can get access to housing, give them housing. Let us cement something in land.
You know what he's saying, Gordon? Do you know what he's saying to these people? He is saying to them, purchase a piece of land and we will give you incentives. But how many of these individuals can put their hand in their pocket collar and buy a piece of land? How many of them?
That is where the United Workers Party is different, because they came up with a program where they're going to pay the down payment of the mortgage for you and you're getting access to the loans to buy the property and thing. But the problem with saying that it is hard to sell it, let us just tell the people, we're going to give you a house and land, we're going to secure a future for you, because we know when you get house and land, you can get equity from your house. When you get equity from your house, you can take a loan to buy, you understand? Because my grandmother from the south, and she had a lot of acres of land at that time. And mostly all of us, she took loan for mostly all of my father and his brothers and all of them, so that they can go to college and university and study in Cuba and those different places, That is what saved a lot of solutions that coming from your generation, Angie. And you know what she told me one day? She told me, you know what she told me? I tell her, well, man, I need a piece of land because I want to start off something. You know me, I don't know inheritance really yet or anything like that. She told me, well, a parent's supposed to leave an inheritance for their children. So in other words, she already left an inheritance for her children. So her children did left an inheritance for their children.
Right.
So in other words, in our generation, Angie, a lot of my people my age do not have any inheritance. And that is where when Sojourner or some of the leaders find that, well, the best way for people to generate wealth, or the best way for people to obtain wealth, is through land, and from land is to build a house and get equity from the house. And that is how most people end up becoming farmers in St. Lucia, end up taking their small loans, and how the Library Corporation Credit Union came about. You understand? Because there was that kind of susu mentality.
And that's not just it, because right now in St. Lucia presently, people you would think that understand the concept of generational wealth, when you have a conversation with them, you are so embarrassed because you say, my goodness, I really thought this person was more astute. People believe that generational wealth is your mother has a piece of land, so when you become you come of age, that you should take that piece of land, or she should take that piece of land and give it to you. That's not what it is. That is not what it is.
No, that's not what it is.
It is generational wealth is generating wealth over generations. So my mother has a farm. My brothers come of age, they begin to work the farm, and they add on to it. And the wealth stays. They grow the wealth, so that when their children come of age, they now can pick up where they left off and grow the wealth, and it stays in the family through generations. But they feel, everything your parents have, they give you. No, what your parents have, what they started, that's the foundation. You, as the next generation, your job is to come, pick up from where they left off, and build. And
now, Angie, and I'll tell you something again to add on that. Something happened in 1997, because St. Lucia was already on that trajectory where we were already creating wealth for the country. The St. Lucia Labour Party came in 1997 with affirmative action, where they put many people that do not know all about any industries and those different things. The job for the boys. And they decimated the middle class. What they did was they figured out the way to win elections as a socialist, whatever philosophy they have right now, the comrade philosophy, was to divide and control. And how to divide and control is to have the economic lever, have the political lever, and have some levers in the church.
Exactly.
And what they did was they started doing that year after year, destructive politics from 1997 to 2001 to 2006, continuation today, neglected the infrastructure that we built. Because remember, we've already been in such work that we connected the causeway, Pigeon Island, to the mainland. Remember, St. Lucia wasn't 258 square miles, It's when Sir John and the United Workers Party godfathers connected the mainland to Pigeon Island. That is when St. Lucia became 248 square miles.
Yeah.
You understand? So my point is, Angie, those guys destroyed the middle class 40 years ago, because Sir John had the same span with them. Sir John was there for 40 years and did accomplish all that with less resources, less technology, less finance, less of everything, less schooling, less technocrats and all those different things. And we accomplish it. Those guys from 1997 to this day has tried a project, which is the socialist project, divide, rule, destroy the middle class.
Yep.
It failed in Russia. It failed in the Soviet Union. Then the Soviet Union collapsed and became Russia. Why wouldn't it fail here? It failed in Venezuela. It failed in Cuba. It failed everywhere that they tried it.
It failed in Greece. And listen, why do you think the European Union came about? A lot of these European nations went from absolute monarchy to socialist mentality, and they collapsed one by one. The only way for them to survive was to come together, pool their resources, and start all over again.
And allow
on top of that, and listen, while the European Union,
political interference,
right, while the European Union was pulling together, there was one country that was still not letting go of socialism, and that country was Greece. Do you know that Greece almost sank the EU? They almost sank, and that was the reason why. That was the reason why the UK exited. You heard about Brexit, because to them they said this guy is going to sink all of us. Now we're not in that, and they removed themselves from the union. Okay.
And are you seeing what the Labour Party is doing in England? A terrible job. They came up with the laissez-faire economy and those different things. You have to allow the private sector to grow the economy, and do not just set the platform for the private sector to flourish.
Which is why again I am very fond of seeing that in St. Lucia we do not know the role of government. A government does not have to give anyone a handout for that person to benefit from the government. What the government is entitled to do, they are indebted to the people to create an enabling environment. When I say an enabling environment, what I mean is proper healthcare, proper roads, bridges, a good education system, infrastructure. I mean jobs, for bringing foreign investors so that they can create jobs, so that the people
of the
country
don't even have to bring in foreign investment. They just have to like I tell you, set the environment.
Yes.
And then the investment will come. Like, for example, good schooling, a proper trained workforce, a skilled workforce, a semi-skilled workforce. You understand?
Provide
our entrepreneurs.
Yes.
That is where we start fighting crime, Angie. Yes. When the economy can grow, like Alan Sharp say, the only way to fight crime is to grow the economy. And that is flat.
Provide an enabling environment for people to thrive.
Less government interference in the economy, less parties, less party favors. That's what the project that the St. Lucia Labour Party tried from 1997 to 2006 has failed. Remember, the last baby boom, Angie, was when I was in my year, 1995. That is when they started building schools. That is when REC was packed. I was going to REC, and the primary school was so packed. We had to move to the building opposite the school. I forget, the Paris Center. That's right. That is where they had, because they had so many babies that those years, 94, 93, 94, 95 was the big boom, the baby boom. That we still had to go to the Paris Center because all secondary schools was closed. By the time 2006, from 1997 to 2006, and 2010, you know what happened? Schools are becoming empty.
Yes. Yep.
That is what happened. Just last year, like I told you, only 1,300 babies were born. And last year alone, only 1,500 people died. That is what you get for the lies and trickeries of the Solution River Party. And much as long as they obey it will get worse. And like I was telling Angie before in my closing, we must prepare for elections in the next 2 years. Let us strengthen our community branches. Let us strengthen our push, and not just on Facebook, but on national television. Let us have some more programs there. It doesn't have to be the same faces, but you understand?
Yeah,
But
I
we must
understand.
prepare for election, because you know why, Angie? Because I realize solutions to the people at this point, at these 40 years of bombardment, Angie, 40 years of silent struggles of so many people who have died along the years, Angie, from 1997
Silent
to this year,
cries.
Angie, thousands of solutions. So that is a people, that is a battered people, that is the people that are coming out from a war zone.
Yeah.
Because if you do the statistics in the different communities, especially in Marshall, you'll see in the past couple of years how many people have died in Marshall. So that is silent homes that are broken, silent friends, people you grew up with all your lives. You know, that those things leave a mark. Those things do leave a mark. You know, there's scars on your skin, Angie. I'll tell you something before I go. You know, there's scars on your skin. You can maybe pass a little cocoa butter, you know, that scar coming out.
Yeah.
But what's about the scars on your brain, Angie?
Let me tell you.
Those scars on your brain never comes out, Angie.
That's true.
And that is why we get perpetual violence, home abuse, abusive relationships.
You're very correct, caller. You're very,
Poverty has
very
so
correct.
many dimensions of destruction, Angie.
Yeah.
Just come in the inner communities in the city. I'll take you around. I'll take you to New Village. I'll take you to Babadat. I'll take you to anywhere you want to go in the inner communities, and you'll see how people live in the living conditions those people are living in. Have a blessed one, Angie.
Thank you so much for that. Guys, we're going to take a quick commercial break, then I'll come back to close. But it is a sad, sorry state of affairs. Very sad, very sorry. And something has got to give. We'll be right back.
You already know the power of Licks products on your clothes and household. You Licks your whites and colored clothes, leaving them fresh and scented. You Licks your dishes and left your hands protected with vitamin E. You Licks your floors, even Licks your toilet. Now we expand and bring you 3 new scents in our fabric softener: Balmy Sunshine, Summer Sunshine, and Thousand Flowers. And Licks those stains off of colored clothes with Licks Color Safe Bleach. Licks went even further with Body Care Body Soap Bars in deodorant and antibacterial. So Licks tiredness and bacteria out and refresh your tired body. Your plans giving you Licks? Then choose Licks from Canadian Distribution Inc. Available at all leading supermarkets.
Guys, it is 4:44 p.m. Always, whenever I'm on Hardtalk, the time just gets away with me, and I never know how quickly that happens. Now, it's 4:44 p.m. Well, 4:45 p.m. You're listening to Hardtalk on Fire 107.7 FM, and I have some people who are commenting on the Facebook platform. Let me just give them a voice. Somebody says this is exactly what the SLP is, referring to what the people of St. Lucia voted for. Somebody says, caller, please don't go there. Don't speak for this woman. This woman was a miserable woman. Let me leave it there. Her son robbed my son at gunpoint, and you could not tell her about what her son did. You would have gotten cursed down. Let her rest in peace. What about, somebody says, the person goes on, caller, outrage for what? What about so many people that got hurt from this lady's son? Caller, don't go there. My son is traumatized up to now. Wow. Wow. Very, very, very sad. Somebody says, didn't the Prime Minister say he knows who are doing the murders and robbery? Why can't they be arrested? Fishy. Like we explained earlier, I don't think the Prime Minister knows anything, to be honest with you. I think the Prime Minister was just speaking because he had an audience. Because if you are a leader of a country and you know who is committing crime, the onus is on you to sit with the police commissioner and point him in the right direction. And you don't even have to be the leader of a country to do so. If you are a private citizen and you know about these things, call the hotline, call 555. Nobody has to know that it is you who said it. Call 555. Get on Play Store or Apple Store, wherever. Get the RSLPF crime app and anonymously report what you know. Nobody has to know where it's coming from. During Operation Restore Confidence, what did we see? We saw Richard Frederick, a former attorney turned politician, telling the police what he knew. Now, some of you might argue that this isn't exactly the kind of thing we want to have happen again, but he was there advising them, pointing them in the direction of the criminals. So Richard Frederick has forgotten how to do that now. He cannot tell PJP, well, this is how I did it. Or maybe, just maybe, PJP does not want to employ the same tactics. But in my mind, the Prime Minister has no idea what he's talking about. Another person says, PJP says he knows who is behind the crime. He should investigate if he knows who. Exactly, he should. He hasn't, so that means he doesn't. Somebody says no country can be progressive if you cannot create a vibrant middle class. Caller, contributor, I really want you to say this loud and clear to our cabinet of ministers. In St. Lucia, I will continue to say we no longer have a middle class. What we have is a working poor, and anybody can see that. The people who are working, you know what irks me? You know what I cannot understand? Guys, do you realize that the people sitting on the block are not poor? They're not. You know why? Because they are depending on us, you and me, the working person, to pass and give them $20 and $50. And they take that money and they buy nice clothes. When you have to rush home, to go and put some food on the fire, or like a friend of mine said, to roll some dumplings quickly and drop it in hot water, and as soon as it shock for you to eat it to take out a gas. These people have ordered KFC. They've gone to Domino's. Things that you cannot afford, but you pay for because you are their family, you are their friend, and they will tax you. But you, the individual who is working every day, you cannot afford to eat out all the time, but they can. So we don't have a middle class. What we have is the working poor. You have people like you and me who, when we get paid, we want to give the employer back their money because we are confounded, kerfuffled, and quite confused as to how the money in our hand will perform all of the miracles it has to perform. How it's going to provide us with housing, how it is going to provide us with health care, how it is going to provide us with clothing and transportation, how is it going to feed our children and keep a roof over our heads. And we, women especially, we are the ones becoming Jesus Christ at the end of the month, taking 2 loaves and 5 fishes and turning them into a feast. And we don't know how we do it. Only God knows how we women manage to do this month in and month out. And I know some of my audience, you guys know what I'm talking about. You know, you are mothers, you are grandmothers, you know how to take when people tell you, when atheists tell you that the Sermon on the Mount didn't happen. In your heart, you know it did, because as a parent, as a mother, It could have been 2 fishes and 1 loaf. You would have fed a multitude. Somebody says, I agree with this brother, and I think that is well-tuned, and that he is well-tuned and onto something with the near election. I share these sentiments as he does. Brother, keep it up. Keep your voice alive, because change is coming. I really hope change is coming. I want change to come. I will continue to advocate for change, because we need it, people. And let me tell you something. I want to implore again. I want to beg, and I will continue to beg. The management team that existed at OKEU when Dr. Dexter James was the CEO, please, I beg of you, come back. Whatever it is that happened, we are sorry. We've learned our lesson. We need you. We the people need you. We the people know your worth. We the people understand what you guys did and what you guys were trying to accomplish. And we stand behind you. Please don't leave us in this healthcare desert. We need you guys. Somebody says, PJP, I would rather sleep with you to have a baby to get your 100%. Oh, wow. Sorry, I shouldn't have read that. Sorry. Please don't say things like that. Not on this platform. Guys, remember, I know you are outraged. I am outraged as well. But this is and will remain a safe space for intelligent conversation. Please, guys, let's keep it clean on Hard Talk. Please. Please. You don't want Foster to come in here and arrest me, do you? Keep it clean. Somebody says, and this country is too small to build a party-affiliated middle class. It would have to be across the board. Amen. I agree with that. Somebody says, do you think people are fools, or you're trying to replace the youth who are dying, Mr. PJP? Another says the police commissioner should have investigated PJP, period. Did the police commissioner drink the Kool-Aid? Somebody says Richard knows who killed Rush Clark's dad. Well, let me tell you. If, again, anybody, not just government ministers, any individual person, if you have information on crimes in the country, you have a duty and an obligation, and it might sound scary, but you have a duty and an obligation to inform the relevant authorities. Because the next person, the life you might save, the life you save might just be your own. Okay, guys? So please, if you know about crime, inform the authorities. Somebody says, speaking of this, PJP said that he knows all about the crime situation. However, he didn't reach out to the relevant authorities as far as we know. Why does he think that he should tell us that we should communicate and work with the police? He obviously does not lead by example. True. Somebody says, Angie, then he is a clown and just blowing smoke. I don't know. Somebody says we are so self-centered in this country. Any government can play politics with our knowledge, and they will be in power for a long time. Thank you for the apology. Please, again, keep it clean. That's what I love about my audience, you know. I can reprimand you guys, and you guys will apologize and be nice. I love you guys for that. Have I said I loved you today? Guys, thank you for joining us. You know, I can't stay too long because I have a treat coming. The most monitored show, because it's the one with the biggest audience, is coming right up, right after I sign off. Full disclosure. But guys, thank you so much for engaging me in conversation, for being here with me and witnessing these things and seeing what is going on. I am so sorry that I had to witness what I witnessed. I am so sorry because it hurts. This is our healthcare. This is our country. And something has to be done. Once again, please, management team, forget about the political appointees. Forget about whatever it is. I know you guys worked hard. We appreciate you. Trust me. We need you. Stay tuned for full disclosure, which is going to be right back. Guys, let me tell you, let me give you a preview. Foster Chico is here in an official capacity. And when he comes on in a few minutes, you guys are going to know what I mean. Thank you for joining me. Hope you guys stay safe. Stay tuned. Full disclosure is coming up next. Bye-bye.
I was a beating, my blood it was the boiling.